Well, guys, Norona out here at Mount Baker, and as you can see, the clouds have cleared. It's absolutely a beautiful day here. As far as snow conditions on my favorite, it's probably a 1. We've had solar warming. You have to be really careful about avalanches, wet slab avalanches, everything. So kind of just doing some, I want like some side hilling and stuff that really slow to show you what the new Summit X with Expert package can do. We've had a lot of questions on it. Is it just for experts? The answer to that is clearly no. The common denominator is every part on this machine that makes it easier to ride will help a new rider right up to a very, very good rider, to a top professional. So just going to go over the things and my thoughts after ripping around for it. I've spent a little bit of time before, and now I've really had a good chance to ride it. Again, this is probably great conditions to ride it because the conditions are not easy to ride in. Lots of hard tracks, firm ice snow, soft snow, holy snow, like it'll just drop out from underneath you. So this thing has just handled everything like a champ. It is amazing. We'll start at the front because there's 14 different changes. The first and one of the most significant changes are the new spindles. They're lighter weight, they're more aggressive, and actually you feel it right as you get on the trail. The machine feels like it's standing up and more forward. And that is what it's designed to do. In previously, the spindle was a little more laid back and a softer rubber stop. So when you're side hilling, you had to kind of go faster. And if you hit something, that speed sort of threw you off. And people sort of attribute that as washing out because it would stop you and the back end has nowhere to go. If it's on a side hill, it's going to go down the least common denominator, down to the side you're side hilling on. What has changed with this is that aggressive stance keeps the ski flatter. And you can go slower. I've got some video of me going really slow in these conditions where the back just drops out of you and you just keep going right through a track, through icy tracks. It gets a little bump, but keeps, normally you'd be like, I gotta turn out. It would just track right over it. Very, very cool. And that helps anyone, especially like a new rider. And it just works really well, so your confidence inspires. Just like when we went to the G4, people didn't think they could do lines, and then like after a couple of days riding it, they were doing lines they never thought possible. Same idea with these spindles. It also comes with different shock packages, Kashima coated. It's a 20% roughly stiffer. I do notice it. It's got softer springs. I've set them on 1, so softer for me because I'm a light guy and actually helps in these conditions. But very adjustable and they work really well. The Freeride has more adjustability, I feel, but overall I really like this shock package the best out of all 3 of them, for the consistency that it does in all ranges. The Freeride I really like for if you jump a lot, you like them. On the trail, they're really good. And you don't really notice them in other conditions. These really help in all conditions. So really love that suspension change here. I already use a 4.7-inch riser. Most people will get away with it. If you're over 6'2", you might want to go to a longer riser. I would try this first and then you can exchange it with your dealer. They're not expensive to change. The tapered handlebars, so the handlebar actually goes down 2 millimeters at the end. That makes it quite a big difference to me with smaller hands. But everybody who's ridden it goes, wow, that makes a big difference. And again, small changes, big differences on snow. The other thing that's really great, and you'll notice it not so much today, is the running boards here now are extruded all the way to the front and definitely will get rid of snow quicker and easier. The nice thing too is now that it comes with a limiter strap is you can have it open for power riding and coming up the trail where you don't want a lot of ski pressure. And if you start to climb on days like this where you're finding that it's sinking and wheeling too much, you can just suck it right back up by 2 holes and man, this thing climbs like crazy. We'll get into the tunnel now because that is probably the second significant change. Is the 165 has a 154 tunnel and the 154 has a 146 tunnel. Now this is not just, we didn't just grab a 146 tunnel and put it on and a 154 tunnel and put it on the 165. It's a totally redesigned tunnel. It's evacuate snow because it has no lip at the end, which is why you can't just add a 2019 to 2017 snow flap onto it. It has a shorter snow flap. This tunnel makes a huge difference when you're side hilling, but boy, you got to be careful when you start to climb something really steep because this thing will just come right up, and if you're not careful with your throttle, it will come over on you. So it's not out of control. That's the good thing. It's controllable. But boy, does this thing wheelie on a 165. It's fun. And talking about the snow flap, the other big consideration was people thought that it's going to overheat like crazy. I rode up the trail today and we have almost 2 miles of dirt. I would say about 1.5 miles of just dirt, and sporadically a few spots with snow, and then dirt and snow and dirt for half a mile. This went up to 4 bars, so roughly about 1 or 2 bars higher than if you had a full snow flap on. I didn't even get close to overheating, and this would be the worst conditions that I've ever ridden in on a trail, and so no problem there. We will have an aftermarket accessory snow flap for this that hooks into this for those really icy days if you really need one, and it'll be a good accessory to have just in case, but for the most part you'll run it as is. I'm really impressed. That's what I saw from the beginning, but just to do some videos, we even had some guys from other brands look at it to show that you know, we weren't just trying to get you to purchase it. Again, my job is not to try to sell you this machine. It's to show you the differences between the Freeride. We have the Summit Freeride now. We have the Summit X, the Summit SP, and the Summit with Expert package. So cost effectively, your Summit SP in season is your best deal. And you can snow check that and get all the cool things. Your Summit X is obviously, you get some perks with that, the nicer running boards, which I really like. Shocks are the same, but they're rebuildable on the X. So you have to choose whether you're going to rebuild them or not, and whether that works for you. But we get a lot of people buying SPs and then purchasing Fox shocks aftermarket or something else, and they save money on the SP when they snow check it, and they add that to their shock package. Riders that love to ride are going to want the Expert package, I will not lie, and again, I'm not here just to sell you it. The differences that you have, again, the Carl Kuster seat, all those things for the price that you pay for the upgrade, it's like a quarter of what you'd pay to add all this stuff. And most of the stuff would be, I mean, to add a tunnel, the cost would be huge. Not only the work you'd have to do it, or changing out the skid. So for the cost, for people who like to rip, it's an amazing package. So you got to get into your dealer. We'll be at Lifestyles tonight. We've been at dealers. There'll be chances for you to check the sled. Unfortunately, we only have a few of them, so we're not able to have demos on them because there's no parts and they're also very expensive. It's not that we don't want people to get on them, it's just certain times it works the way it is. But again, if you have any questions, you can put them down in below and I'll answer them. And you can hit me up on Facebook at Dave Norona or Instagram at Dave Norona. Ask me any questions that you have. I'll be more than happy to answer them. The 2019s have been amazing, and this just builds on that with changes that allow you to do more aggressive riding easier. So that's confidence inspiring, but you don't have to ride it to the edge, and you still appreciate a lot of those changes. I will say, even on the trail, when you ride this the first time you go on the trail, it feels like there's more horsepower and that like you're freewheeling. You can actually just feel the track moving around because there's not as much of a vacuum effect and not as much snow going into the tunnel to slow it down the track speed. Better track speed, easier to side hill, and in the deep, it's going to carve and be playful, just like a Summit X is that we've known and come to love, of POW carves, open metals, and then getting into tight trees. So for any and all terrain, this sled just makes it easier and more fun, and that is what it's all about.